Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Urkel Christmas movies.
I'm Dan. It pains me to say it, but I despise Urkel Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso, and did I do that? And this
That's the Hallmark Podcast.
That's the Hallmark. It's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Wow.
man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Very rarely am I upset that Alonso gets to go last in the intro, but did I do that was there, and it was perfect because he doesn't know anything about Family Matters. If I was going last, I would have said, I'm Dan, and look what you did, which is the line that Urkel uses after everything falls apart and it's his fault, and Uncle Carl comes in the room, Carl Winslow, and he looks at him and he goes, look what you did, acting like it's somebody else's fault. Right. That's what I would have said, and I just want that on the record. Yes. But there's nothing I could have done.
We are talking Urkel Saves Christmas
Thank
today.
goodness. It's about time.
saves Santa.
Saves Santa. You're right. Sorry.
Ernest Saves Christmas.
Yes.
Yes,
Gosh, I
please.
love Ernest Saves Christmas.
You know what I mean, Vern?
You like that movie, right, Alonso?
I do like Ernest Saves Christmas.
I grew up on the Ernest movies. Ernest Goes to Camp. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Scared Stupid. Wasn't allowed to watch that one because of Halloween. Not until I was older.
And it says stupid in the title.
Yeah, it does. That's yeah.
Kidding me right now?
Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah, a classic.
And I used to quote that as a kid, and people would look at me funny.
I can't imagine what was your go-to.
It's a sad, sad day at Camp Kikiki. Yeah, I was that kid. Get over it. Get over it, everybody. If something went wrong and we didn't get recess because it was raining, it's a sad, sad day at Camp Kikiki.
You would say this as a kid?
I would say this as a kid. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe not like 8.
Okay, a little bit older.
Maybe 10. Yeah. It's a sad, sad day at Camp Kikiki.
For folks on the Philo, are you guys noticing the prop that I brought for today?
Oh, yeah. Is it the same as our
can you
prop?
go wider? Oh, look at that. What is that?
Ooh, Urkelos. I almost said Urkelos.
It's a box of Urkelos cereal. It's actually not even a real retail box. It's like a promo box for grocers. But it's just a weird thing we have in our collection of vintage cereal boxes.
I thought you were pointing to the prop that is a groundbreaking new book out May 14th.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Hollywood Pride, written by Alonso Duralde.
No.
Now, Alonso, you've never seen
out tomorrow, your book.
Tomorrow.
Out tomorrow, the 14th.
Yeah.
Which means today's the 13th. Happy birthday to my brother. Today's his birthday. I'm sure he's a regular listener to the show. You've never seen any Family Matters?
Fine. Not a second. I have never seen a moment of this show. I, of course, know the basics of Urkel because I was alive, but I was not a child in the 90s. Is that when the show aired, right? Yeah. So never saw it. I know that it exists and it was the thing, but this was my first exposure to a full frontal Urkel.
Okay. Well, we didn't need to go there.
I would say this isn't the proper way to get introduced to Urkel, full frontal or otherwise. You like regular viewer of Family Matters? I love Family Matters.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
It is still a little bit before my time, but it was still
my wheelhouse.
Still very prevalent in the house, and so I am sure I've seen every episode.
I will say this: binging Family Matters would not be something. Unlike Boy Meets World, I think Family Matters gets caught in quite a cycle of the same show over and over, like Laura and Steve and New Invention and Accident and Learn a Lesson, and I think it would be repetitive, but when I was a kid, it was the stuff. Just seeing if we played the music, could you do the Urkel right now, the dance?
No, I couldn't do it.
You could not do the Urkel. No. It's pretty much just like an overt hip thrust.
Yes, it is. It's a lot.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate.
Do you know about Stefan?
Stefan Urkel?
I know about Stefan Urkel. I know about Urkelbots.
Okay.
Again, I just because they were in the culture.
Yes.
But my only point of reference for those other two actors is Christmas in Carolina, and for the mom, my only point of reference is that movie with Jonathan Bennett and Mrs. Pena Vega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe Marie Payton, Kelly Shaneen Williams, Darius McCrary, obviously.
Thank
I think it's important. You turn your gun in, you get a pair of shoes, and I think
turn your gun in, you get a pair of shoes.
And I think that's important. Everybody should do that.
When Urkel's secretly good at basketball is like one of my all-time favorite episodes.
Yeah.
He's a nerd. He can't be good, and he just goes to work on
yes
with Grandmama.
Now, this movie, I found out, and trying to just find the date in which it was originally dropped, that this movie was first announced in 2020 and had a very similar story to Batgirl, where it was made and then the new crew came into Warner and pulled the plug on it. And it just sat there for a while. And for some reason, they decided, thank God, last year that we're going to put it out, but not on Max. Apparently, according to...
Right, it went straight to rental.
Straight to rental. Apparently, this holiday season, it will be available on Max, but I don't know if that's confirmed or not. It's just what it says on IMDb.
So, Warner pulls the Urkel Christmas cartoon and Batgirl.
Yeah.
But we get Urkel back, but not
Urkel.
Batgirl?
So I get it gives a little bit of hope that maybe one day we will see Batgirl.
Or Coyote versus Acme, perhaps.
That would be nice. I can't believe they shelved that movie.
Because they announced that they were releasing Urkel, I believe, 2 weeks before it actually got. So they were like, we're doing it. It's happening in 2 weeks. So I don't know what the decision was that made them finally go, okay, let's give the people Urkel. But
I don't know what's happening over there because remember, we watched Merry Little Batman on Amazon, on Prime Video. And it's like, if Warner Brothers isn't interested in a Batman anything, like what are we even doing? What are we even
doing is correct. What the bleep's going on at Warner is what we really need to know.
How did they, just the fact that, what a weird story. Urkel Christmas special movie gets greenlit, it gets made, and then it gets shelved, and then 2 years later they go, all right, the people have waited long enough.
We get through all the hard parts. And then they're like, I guess we could show this.
There's the Scoob sequel, which is apparently also a Christmas movie, got finished and is still not.
Do you know about Coyote vs. Acme?
No, I don't know.
It is a hybrid animated live action movie where
Space Jam starring the Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote sues Acme for all of their products. Will Forte in the movie. Oh
wow!
I don't know how
John Cena.
It looks like it can't help but be a blast, and I can't believe that.
But I don't understand. So that's been made?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, made, finished, and then shelved, and apparently possibly erased for a tax write-off.
So that's the why. The why is tax write-offs.
It's about money,
basically.
What?
Oh, I know, shocker,
unbelievable.
Over art,
you can't trust Warner Brothers to do the right thing.
I don't understand
this
at all.
This is crazy.
That's crazy. That's insane. Like, at least do.
So the fact this got out of the vault is a miracle.
But that's at least do this where it's like, okay, we'll just you can have it and we'll make money if somebody really wants to see it.
Yeah.
And they decide to
make their money back on Coyote vs. Acme. I bet they would.
Well, it's this whole complicated thing where they were like, oh, well, we'll make it available to some other streamer. And so like Netflix and Peacock are all like, oh, well, we're interested. But then they made the deal was going to be so expensive and complicated that nobody stepped up. And so it was like, oh, well, we tried. I mean, it's all very hanky.
Crazy.
At least we got Urkel saves Santa.
At least we got Urkel saves Christmas, Santa, sorry. And we've waited long enough. It originally came out into the world on November 21st, 2023, and it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with not the Family Matters theme song. Close. Close.
Very close. It's just like a one-off.
Yeah. It's not, though.
It's the bigger love of
but
family.
I think it starts with... And you're like, what's happening? I feel like...
It's like they couldn't use it or they'd get sued.
Couldn't quite.
Yes.
Urkel wakes up and he is pumped that it is finally December. He loves the holiday season, not just because Christmas.
No.
He loves all the holidays.
Does he have a song about it?
He does have a song about it. He's excited to try out his new invention, the Decemberizer, which is you press the button and it decorates his room. But not the rest of the house for some reason. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course.
Just his room. And so he comes outside. He is so excited. It's so Christmassy. It's so December. He can't contain himself. He bursts into a song while walking down the street. And everybody is fed up with Urkel because it's still so early in the morning. We don't got time for this, Urkel. He gets to the mall ASAP to help get the mall ready for the department store Santa, also known as DSS. He loves it. He waxes poetic about how important the DSSs are to making Christmas happen. And he tells this DSS that he wants some donkey cheese. That's what he wants. For
easily
Christmas.
the funniest thing in this movie.
I gotta be honest, a thing that I forgot about Urkel was that he's obsessed with cheese.
How'd you forget?
I know. Well, I remembered very quickly.
God, he loves cheese.
He loves cheese.
More than December. He didn't sing a single song about it.
He has a cheese calendar. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, sure does.
So anyway, he tells Santa that he wants a donkey cheese, takes the picture, he posts it on social media, and Steve gets very excited in the midst of posting this that his favorite tech billionaire is going live. And so he goes to watch it, and he ends up being brought on to the live stream, and he tells him that he's an inventor himself and all this good stuff. And he tells Urkel to stop inventing and to start disrupting. And so Robin, the elf, tells Urkel that she doesn't think that this is a good idea. But he goes off to try to figure out a way to help this mall Santa get more people to come see him. It's December and there's no one there to see him.
There.
Nobody's in the mall. The Christmas spirit is not there. So he comes up with this big idea to have this sleigh, and they'll fly it around. It'll be a whole thing. And unfortunately, it does not go well. It destroys the mall. It destroys the town. Everybody is upset with him. And the incident goes viral. So Urkel decides to change his life. And the next day, he's not going to do anything that could possibly ruin someone's day. He creates a watch that'll help him get back some points, because everyone knows Christmas is point-based. Point-based Christmas. And so he begins to do things, get points, and he goes to see this tech billionaire in hopes that he could give him some pointers, and he says it shouldn't be a watch, it should be an app. In fact, we can make it and launch it. And so the next day, Steve walks outside, and everybody is going absolutely insane with Christmas cheer, but only because of the points. And Steve is very bothered by this. He believes that he basically created a monster. So he goes to the only person that could possibly help, the actual real-life Santa, and Santa is a Yeti. And we get a song about that.
Santa's a Yeti, and that was tough for you to get a...
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a hurdle that was tough for me to get over. Santa agrees to come and help Steve stop the app, but ultimately it's all going to come down to a chess match between Steve and the billionaire, and ultimately Steve wins. And so the app shuts down, and everybody decides that they're all going to go continue to Christmas on holiday the way in which they want to, and they all join together to help Urkel sing a Christmas song, and that, my friends, was Urkel Saves Santa. The movie.
We did it.
We did do it. We are going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down here on
Deck the Hallmark.
We're back, everybody. We're talking about the 2023 straight-to-rental release of Urkel Saves Santa. We're going to break this movie down with our 4 segments. We're going to start with a hot take where we share exactly how we felt about this movie. I'm going to start with Alonso, who has no connection to Family Matters or the Urkel character. Going in blind like that, how did this movie work for you? Did you enjoy it?
Well, I never did get around to watching Family Matters, but I have been digging into a show lately because I'm so, cutting edge. This is a brand new show called The Good Place.
Oh, man.
But
have you never
one
seen
of the ideas, I had never seen it. No, I'm watching it now for the first time.
Getting to watch this for the first time.
Thank you. And I'm really enjoying it. But one of the many concepts that is tossed out along the way is the idea of moral desert. That there are people who are ethical or moral not because it's the right thing to do or because of their own sort of personal code, but because they think there is a reward waiting for them at the end of it, whether a tangible one or, perhaps an internal one in a potential other life. But, that's the idea that you're not doing good for goodness sake, as they say, but for, you want payback out of all this. So I kind of admire this movie for digging into the notion of moral desert as a thing for kids at Christmas time, where it's not the notion of like, running around and doing good deeds, but sort of like trying to be a good person, trying to make amends when you screw up. And, that to me felt bold and different. And plus Santa being a Yeti. That said, this is way too long and the songs are terrible.
They're awful.
But I didn't totally hate it.
Wow. Just so kind, Alonso.
So, a thing that I've missed in my adult life is Christmas specials. We just don't really get them as much anymore. These like 20, 30, 40. No, I remember growing up, I'd have these VHS tapes of all these random Christmas specials, and I'd watch them every year, and I'd get excited. And at some point in time,
in my day, you had to watch those shows when they aired,
right.
And if you missed them, you had to wait another year.
That's right. But at some point, they stopped making these as much, and there's been a few over the past few years, and I felt like this would have been a fantastic Christmas special at 30 minutes. 20 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
20 to 40 minutes, I think, would have been
10 minutes with a stinger.
20 to 40 minutes would have been a really sweet spot for this. Unfortunately, we get an hour and 26 minutes and you're right, the songs aren't good. They're not memorable. I don't remember the melody of any of these particular songs, which is never what you want out of a musical. And so all of the music and all of those numbers could have been thrown out, and we would have actually had a pretty fun and charming Christmas special. And instead, we're left with something that's really long and unnecessary. But the Urkel parts and some of the story elements are fun. I like the overall plot. I think it is a good time, but it's so hard to get over how long it is and how boring these songs are that I probably will forget about it, and I won't really have any desire to watch it. Whereas if it was just the story and it was 40 minutes or less, I would probably watch this every year. I could find myself doing that. I thought the animation was really cool too. I thought it looked really good. It's unfortunate. It didn't have to be a full-length movie. It didn't have to be a musical. But that's what we got, and so unfortunately, it's going to be forgotten. Dan?
Same opinion as these two, but just less kind about it. This one hurts. It hurts for a number of reasons. One is I love Family Matters growing up, and they do have some fun nods to the character of Steve Urkel. But the songs in this movie clearly are there to stretch it to feature length, and they are bountiful in their quantity, not in their quality. The first track here, Urkel sings about loving the month of December for, I'm going to lowball it, 86 minutes. He doesn't stop saying that he loves December. I don't know if the song's done yet. It is interminable. The other reason this hurts is because there are a lot of really talented people involved with this. Wyatt Cenac wrote the script of this movie. Roy Wood Jr. is in it. Jaleel White obviously returns. Larry Owens, who pops up in Abbott Elementary, he's a ton of fun. Nicole Byer, she's great in everything she's in. We have
Joel Booster.
We have a talented group here, just unfortunately attached to just an albatross.
Without the songs, you still wouldn't like it?
I think there's a world, you still have to cut out some plot. I think a 22 or 3 minute half hour, this could work, but it's just mostly filler. I think even without the songs, you're looking at 50 minutes, and I think a lot of that isn't great. I do think that if we took out some stuff, he doesn't even really save Santa, guys. That's the big wait what of this movie. The title of the movie's Urkel Saves Santa. I don't have many wait whats because this movie's Looney Tunes crazy, but he doesn't do it. No. He doesn't save Santa. And so it needs more than just getting rid of the songs, in my opinion. It's got to have some refinement for it to work. And it unfortunately, aside from the fun winks to Family Matters fans like me, which I'll get to in the feels, this did not do anything for me at all. I hated it.
Well, let's get to it. Let's get to those feels. Alonso.
Yeah, and I almost wonder, like, it's more about the tunes than the lyrics, because I did really enjoy the rhyme. It's a winter wonderland with escalators and ADA compliant elevators.
Yeah.
In the song about the mall, like, that made me laugh. But like, yeah, I could not hum any of those songs the second they were over, much less now. And so I think, like, yeah, Wyatt Cenac wrote this thing. I'm wondering if maybe he could have, like, called up Lin-Manuel Miranda or somebody to, like, jot down some tunes.
Yeah, to your point, I think the last song of this movie is a reprise, but I'm not entirely sure.
It is a reprise of the December one.
It could have been an entirely different song. I'm not. I couldn't tell you.
Who even knows?
I was watched it in one sitting. So yeah, I just was the songs were so bad, and I just that stung. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I like the dream sequence where it goes from sort of 2D animation to like either real or fake, like stop motion, which is very, very Christmas specially. The idea of making Santa a Yeti, I thought was very clever, and it works somehow. And I thought the final speech, like a lot of these things, like Scrooge, they come out to how's that final speech about Christmas going to be, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, just I thought visually it was a really cool look, and there's something about animation, Christmas decorations and stuff that are just so warm and wonderful, and I thought that this movie hit those feels for me. Dan?
Yeah, I definitely have Family Matters feels here. The movie starts like it's the beginning of a Family Matters episode, except for the fact they don't have the rights to anything Family Matters. So it is,
which it has the same producers.
It's
That's
wild.
What I don't get.
The gold font is there, but the song is off. They don't reference anybody really aside from Urkel. I don't know how all that broke down, but it was cool to feel like you were jumping back into a Family Matters episode. And my big feels, and the one thing that this movie gets really right to me is, and somebody in the chat can correct me. I'm sure there are bigger Family Matters fans out there. But to my knowledge, in all of the episodes of Family Matters, we never meet Steve's parents. Never. And that's part of the kind of the impetus for why he's at the Winslow house so much is he doesn't really have a family of his own, and he's not really wanted by a lot of people. He's eccentric. He's different. He's a quote unquote nerd. And so the Winslows' begrudging acceptance of him is just kind of like, well, this is the right thing to do. And so we do it. What's cool about this movie is Urkel is living by himself. We do meet a relative, but it's him dressed in drag during the show. Myrtle Urkel, I believe is her name. It's just Jaleel White dressed as a woman, but he, like in this movie, he doesn't have any family still, but he's a part of a community, and the community has people that celebrate all these different holidays, and they all accept him for who he is. And that was awesome. Like if you have any empathy for Steve Urkel during the show and you watch the show, you wonder what would happen to him if the Winslows disappeared. You would think it would be not good for him. And to see Steve as an adult without the Winslows in a community where they accept him for who he is, he helps them out. We celebrate all these different holidays. That was awesome. I loved that. And it was at that moment early in this movie, I'm like, this movie's going to be good. And then it wasn't. There you go.
Is he an adult? I'm not even clear.
He's an adult.
Yeah. He's an adult. When he's a kid.
So he's back from space.
Yes, he's back from space. He didn't, clearly the engagement to Laura or the marriage to Laura didn't work out.
It was never going to work.
But what's wild about Jaleel White's portrayal of that character is by the time that show ended, Jaleel was probably like 25. I mean, he was like old, and he had to go to a falsetto. When he's like starts, the character actually is way more nasally and more lower octave. But then as he gets older, he has to go falsetto because he can't hit that. And so the higher his voice, the older he is the weird thing about Urkel. That's the way to know he's an adult here, if you can believe it.
He did a great job with the voice, and at a couple points his voice cracks too. Like it's like,
oh yeah,
you slip right back into it.
And I said this to you, and I don't have many wait what's for this movie, but I said this to you as well, which is half of the fun of Steve Urkel is seeing Jaleel White's face and body as he says, "Did I do that?" or "Look what you did," or like talks about cheese and he starts moving his head back and forth, or like talks about his new invention and he can't sit still. Like, and you don't get that. You don't. The thing about Urkel is Jaleel White was giving a great performance. It wasn't yes, of course it was meant to draw people in, and of course it was gimmicky, but what he was doing was hard to do, and he was really good at it. And so I hated not being able to actually see him.
It did remind me there was a period where like they would turn popular sitcoms into Saturday morning cartoons. So like there was an animated Laverne and Shirley. There was the Brady Kids cartoon. There was even one with like Roseanne Barr. It's like Lil Rosie or something. So this kind of took me back to that weird era where they would just, kids like this show live action. We'll also pump out a cartoon and we'll get the actor in for one day a month to do all the voice work or whatever. Did you catch that there was a store at the mall called Family Mattress?
Sure did. Absolutely.
Okay. That was the one reference I got.
Some fun Easter eggs. Well, Stefan Urkel shows up briefly, one line. Urkelbot is in there a bunch. There's some fun references in there, but not to anyone.
Right.
No Carl, Eddie.
Yeah.
No,
It's
Lauren,
very interesting.
It's a weird way to go about it. Yeah.
They're actually they're doing Little Racist Rosie on the Blaze, I believe. They're bringing it back. It's going to be awesome. We'll be right back here at Deck Delaware. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about Urkel Saves Santa. It's time for the wait what. I don't know how long this segment will be.
What are you supposed to do here?
Those inventions, those are far-fetched.
Are you kidding me? He's got a hot air balloon that's a yacht? Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
Not on your life, buddy.
Alonso?
Yeah, I only had a couple. I went back and forth on whether or not I believed how abandoned the mall was at Christmas time. And I get it, like more people are shopping online now and they're not going to the mall. But, you know, I think if you have a mall that's still open, you are decorating for Christmas, because if not now, when? Yeah. Like, this is going to be your moment of the year. But I was like, okay,
Alonso,
fine, it's science fiction.
As big a fan of malls as you are, have you been to Haywood Mall in that Greenville? We have a
no, I'm waiting to be taken.
Thriving mall. We have a thriving mall in Greenville that is like somehow it gets busier I don't know how they release those numbers, and I'm like, they put a Cheesecake Factory in 5 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are going to the mall here.
Well, my hosts have been doing a crappy job of taking me around Greenville because I have yet to see this. Put it on the list for me, please. You got plenty of
fried chicken while you were here. We did that, right?
No complaints there. None. The only one I could come up with that was an actual wait what in terms of plot stuff is when the hot air balloon deflates and the yacht comes crashing down into the neighborhood, it takes down a whole lot of electrical poles and no one's lights go out.
Yeah.
Zero.
How dare they?
Yep.
They really goofed there, huh?
I bet they wish they had that one back. Mulligan.
all I have here are hairs to split.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want.
Mine are not good either. I would be very clear.
Try these ones on for size. I wrote down Steve knows somehow a lot about basketball and also nothing about basketball at the same time. He somehow knows like a lot of details about basketball. He's good at basketball, knows who the Splash Brothers are, doesn't know the term raining bucket. So it's like, you got to find the sweet spot there.
Wyatt Snacks not going to recover from that.
It's
takedown. That's a full diss track right there.
Here's one. I understand that the elf, what's her name? I don't remember. I wrote it down at some point. Rosie or something, wanted this job to pay for her father to get English lessons for her father and stuff like that. I do feel like she was severely underwhelmed at what I think is an amazing invention by Steve Urkel, which is this thing that will literally translate as you speak. She didn't even blink an eye. Like, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. You cannot want it and also be like, but how'd you do that? Like, amazed. She was just like, but that's not what I wanted, Steve. And I'm like, But now that you didn't know it was an option, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool option, right?
That is the
Now that you
the
have it.
best way. What I will. The only thing I would say in defense somehow of that is that Steve Urkel's inventions typically always
don't go well.
Don't go. Yeah. They're not, if she's known him a while, she would be like, okay, it seems great on the surface. This is going to explode.
And to that point, those kids should not be running around on a basketball court that warms itself with microwaves.
No,
like,
absolutely.
that's dangerous. It's dangerous. That's dangerous. Go ahead, Dan.
I have two. One I already mentioned, which is Steve Urkel does not save Santa. The movie is called Urkel Saves Santa. He does not do it. He does not save Mall Santa. He does not save Yeti Santa. Zero Santas saved.
You could make an argument that Yeti Santa saves him.
That's right. You could. He saves no Santas throughout this movie. Why did you call it Urkel Saves Santa?
You could call it saves the holidays.
Yes.
That was sitting right there.
Saves December. A lot of things you could say that aren't that. And then lastly, this movie does a good job of empathizing with people, aside from the fact that a bus driver decides to stop driving a bus in the middle of this movie. Yeah. People use mass transit to get from one place to another. This bus driver arrives at the mall and's like, maybe I'll go shopping.
Yeah.
There are sales.
She literally just doesn't do her job. There are people freezing cold in Chicago waiting for a bus. She's not there. That is a problem. I stand by it.
The mall pulls you in. Alonso
That's
knows
right.
it all too well.
Yeah.
We've all been there, I think.
Alonso's not driving a bus.
That's true.
He wasn't on his trash route, picking up trash. You go, well, I'm going to stop today.
Yeah, I got stuff to do.
Wasn't performing a public service.
No, he was not.
I've never done.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. Hollywood Pride out tomorrow, and I think that's a pretty good public service right there. Let's get to what the Hallmark, or did he do that?
What's a family
Did he do
Matters?
that? Where we would answer or ask any questions that we would still like answered. Alonso?
Well, actually, Daniel took mine in his All the Fields, which is I wrote down, did Urkel have parents on the show? Because I did not quite grasp that this character was an adult, so I thought he was still like 14. And then I'm like, and he's clearly living by himself?
No, I think
do the authorities know
about
about this?
Chat said his parents are never shown, they're just mentioned, and that's how I remembered it. I'm pretty sure that they're not around much. I think the nuclear family unit of the Winslow family is a big part of his raise. Like, it's the big part of how he grows up. But
his mom is Vera from Cheers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
the thing about Urkel is that the show struggles as they get older. I mean, I don't know how old Jaleel White is, but I can't imagine in that finale he was any younger than mid-20s. And they still act kind of like he's, they do go to college. The kids go to college, but they're so much older than that. And so he was born in 1976. So in 96, he was 20. Show ended in what, 98, 99? Yeah. So yeah, he's only younger than 25. So I was wrong on that, but he's still young, older than he should be for the show.
Right. We've talked about how this is Family Matters adjacent, but not Family Matters. And like, that's the biggest question while watching this is just how did this happen?
Yes, that's mine.
How did I guess Urkel was a character in and of itself that they could get the rights to, but nothing else from Family Matters?
Or is it like a Hannah Swenson thing where Hannah Swenson is free reign? You can call her Hannah Swenson, or you have the rights to this character, but it's not tied to these movies or whatever. Like, is it?
But there's just there's no they leave nothing to the imagination as to whether or not this is the Steve Urkel that we know.
They probably would have had to pay likeness rights to the other actors if they used them as characters.
But no mention of Eddie, Carl, Laura, like none. It is
Myrtle.
It is wild to me that this movie exists in a world where Steve Urkel is the main character and he says his catchphrase.
Did I do that?
Did I do that? But there is no mention of anything in the Family Matters verse at all directly. And I just would love to know clearly there were legal hoops to jump through, and I would like to know them.
Also weird that there aren't any like Die Hard jokes in this movie, given the Reginald Vell Johnson connection.
Yeah.
You think that'd be an easy layup.
Also, Kathy mentioned in the comments, and I did have this written down, but There's Judy is the younger sister in the show, and she always comes down the stairs during the theme song. And then one day Judy's just not there, and she's not on the show anymore at all. And this was prime. This movie was the prime real estate for a Judy joke.
Yeah.
And you could have made that joke, I feel like, without compromising any sort of like copyright stuff, but they didn't. They chose not to, and that was unfortunate because this was the time to make a Judy joke or a 3J joke or a rich something like that. Yeah,
you have to imagine that this movie was originally they had a ton of Family Matters stuff. They had to cut it, and they said, "I guess we'll fill it with songs."
And Legal ate it up. Legal just ate it up completely. Yeah.
It was going to be a 4-episode miniseries, and then it became an 86-minute movie
with music.
Yeah.
We did it, everybody. Congratulations. Urkel did indeed save Santa,
So
I guess.
we're told,
in a sense.
anyway, yeah.
Up next, we're heading over to Freevee for It's a Christmas Thing. I think Chris Russell is in this movie.
Christmas thing.
Christopher Russell is in this movie. It's a Christmas thing. Also, I believe it was originally... it looks like it comes up with peppermints and postcards. I don't know how it all happened, but you should be able to find it on the Prime with It's a Christmas Thing. So there you go. We'll be back next week with that. Until then, get Alonso's book. We'll see you tomorrow, and may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.